What's up, guys? It's your man, it's your homie, Shawn-jose. Um, Bringing back Majestic AF for episode 6, I believe. And today, before we get started, I would like to shout out some companies and some people that are helping us make Majestic AF what it is and making it better. So today, I would like to shout out Shoo Shoo Monkey Creations, who are helping us create the Majestic AF clothing line and sweaters. I'm going to have, right before I take the podcast on the road to Tennessee for Thanksgiving, I'm going to have the first wave of merchandise. With that, also, I would like to shout out Amber Rose Candles. We are blessed to have Amber Rose McCarthy herself as a guest next week, talking about some real hard stuff. And like we always do on this podcast. And I'm going to start shouting out a veteran owned company every week, or as much as possible as I can. And this week's is Lance, my man Lance, the OG of Majestic Mullets himself, who also runs a Facebook group, the mullet that changed my life. You guys should add in, meet some great people, great entrepreneurs. And he owns and runs, as a veteran owned thing, Thigh Huggers. And Thigh Huggers is the best silkies in the world, all powered by Majestic Mullets, like Lance's himself. So before we get started, I also like to say, last week, if we offended anyone, we had a little fun. We just want to show you the brighter side of the military, not always have a podcast that is full of the hard, depressing, and dark times of the military. So, with that being said, I'll never apologize for me being me, but I'll apologize if I offended anyone or was a little unprofessional last week. But today, we have a great guest. He honestly started watching the show. We linked up. He's an amazing man. He actually took time off of his book tour to be here today with us tonight. And I'm going to, right when we get in this, I'm going to let him tell you a little bit about his background and his time of service. So tonight we have Colonel David Lange today, and he's here to speak to us and to show us his point of views on the tough topics that we've been talking about on every one of these podcasts and bringing it the true lights to what everyone needs. So here he is. How you doing, David?
Hey, doing good. Good to see you, Shawn. What's up, man?
Good to see you too. So give us a little background of your military career and how you got to where you were and what you did in the military.
Yeah, roger that. Okay. I joined the military in 1984. I actually started as a cadet at the U.S. Air Force Academy. So went there for 4 years, graduated in 1988, and then became a second lieutenant in the United States Air Force. So initially I started flying, so I flew 2 aircraft over the span of my career, KC-135, which is an air refueling aircraft, and then a couple of years in the E-4B, which is the National Airborne Operations Center, so a national command and control platform.
Oh, awesome.
So that was like the first half of my career. And then after that, various staff jobs, some command positions and such. So I actually did a total of 30 years time as a commissioned officer, retired in 2018.
Awesome.
Lived
Congrats on that too.
Yeah, thanks. It's nice to be out. I certainly love my time in service, and I miss it. And I think a lot of folks would say that.
No, I believe everyone that served misses the camaraderie, misses the love of the brotherhood,
absolutely,
and sisterhood. That being said, so we were talking before. A lot of people. Let's just jump right into it.
Yep.
So we've seen these past couple years the rise of suicide rates and the rates of anxiety and depression that's affecting our troops today. Right. They're affecting our soldiers, but even in and after the military. So like as so how can I say this? As an officer, did you see a lot of things up front? Like a lot of guys come to you that were depressed and try to reach out for you when you're in the military? Because I feel most of the time it's guys struggling after their time in service.
Yeah.
Like I rarely I feel like had anyone that came up to me when I was in and that was looking for help. I feel like when you're in, you feel like it's a kind of like I can't go ask these guys for help. I can't because you're trying to be manly or you don't want to look frowned upon. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
because you got to hold this stature of being such a a soldier or airman, like such like a strong like human being. You get what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
so
totally.
did you have any guys come up to you looking for help or reach out to you, or was it the same as?
Yeah, and that's a great point you make because they're really two distinct issues. They're related, but you have the in-service issue and then the out-of-service issue. In-service, you're right. There's sort of that thing where you don't want to show any weakness.
Yes.
So it's tough, I think. But also in service, there's a whole lot more resources there. I mean, you've got your sergeants looking out for you. You got your officers looking out for you. And once you get up to the highest levels, obviously you don't see at the tactical level what's going on. But at the higher level, like as a colonel, it's your job to set the culture. And make sure stuff's right, and that you have a culture that is supportive of people like reaching out for help and also people giving help. In other words, I know it's an old cliche, but they always say mission first, people always.
Yes, yes, yes,
So I'm
yes,
sure
yes.
I know.
I've definitely heard that.
Yeah, and it's true, because I think you realize that you don't get the mission done if your people are hurting and if your people are non-functional. So you
Yeah.
keep the people okay. So one thing I found in the military is there's all sorts of resources. So people are always looking out for you. I mean, if you're an airman or a young soldier, you're in the dorms or in the barracks. So you got people there side by side. So you're always with folks. As I was reading through some reports on veteran suicide, one of the greatest issues they have is just the isolation. You lose not only your battle buddy, bunking next to you, but also you lose that great support network of 1,000 eyes looking out for you,
Yeah.
and counselors, and whether it's mental health or whether it's the chaplaincy or whoever you may go to. There's a lot of avenues in there in the military to go for help at. But once you get out, it's a little trickier, because you don't
Yes,
have.
you have to go to the VA,
Yeah.
or you actually have to reach out to someone, and that's the thing is like, because I remember it was difficult for me because like a lot of my depression and stuff is I was always kind of a funky kid, growing up, but a lot of my depression came up because I was always trying to push and be this mold that I thought like, oh, I always felt like there was more pressure because I'm an overthinker than there really was on me as a soldier.
Right.
So with that being said, like I always what crushed me and gave me the anxiety was I was always trying to like, oh, I got to do this, I got to be better, I got to be better at this, I got to do this, I got to do this, and it would crumble. Like if something didn't go right, or I slipped up on one thing, it would make my world crash down on me.
Right.
You know what I mean? So like when I got out, you're right. I had those NCOs. I had those guys I could look for. But even then, like I was always like, oh, I can't do that. I can't do that. I was like, I don't want anyone to hear me and think I'm some kind of punk, like a little, So when I got out, I was like, oh, the VA is gonna help me. The VA is gonna help me. So when I would go to the VA, and then I would be waiting there for the whole day. You know what I mean?
Right.
To try to get the help, and then I would sit there in front of someone, so I'm like, oh, what's wrong? And then they would like, but I couldn't really explain. You know what I mean? Like I couldn't tell them like I don't know why I'm depressed. I'm just depressed. Like it's sometimes hard for soldiers to actually tell, or people in general, to actually be like, this is the reason why I'm depressed. Because most of the time, I didn't know why I was depressed. I was just depressed. So like, then I'm sitting there and listening to these VA therapists and stuff, and not knowing like if they were helping me or not, or if they were making it worse because now they're making me think about things that I wouldn't normally think about if I went home and did what I believed at the time was my coping mechanism, down a case of beer and try to push it down and try to not deal with it. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like so, like I never like I was always nervous. I still to this day when I go to the VA and talk to my therapist and stuff like that, I'm always hesitant about it. Like they told me to keep a journal and stuff, and like really like it's depressing to say. Is when I started keeping the journal, I was like literally like I felt like the therapist I had in Tennessee, I felt like she literally just wanted me to write my suicide note, like because we would talk about the same things every day, every time I would see her, and I'd be sitting there like I just feel like she's just bringing all this stuff up and she's constantly doing it, like like it's not helping me. And she tells me to keep this journal. And really, like, is this journal just wanted me to, like write my suicide note? So like that, like I never really got the trust, I guess, to get the therapist. And but like when I would have post a status that was depressing, I had one of my battle buddies just like randomly message me, guys I haven't talked to since 2012, like Jeffrey Pushman, my kind of co-host and good friend. He would randomly message me like, "You good, man?" Like, and check on me. That meant
That's
the
awesome.
world to me. You
Oh,
know
yeah.
what I mean?
Yep.
So like, it's a huge struggle. I feel like of finding that, because I would have never reached out for these guys in the military because
Right.
of that whole pride thing.
Yeah.
But now, like that, I'd rather reach out for them now that I'm out. Like, I'd rather have those guys talk to me or like take me on a car ride and calm my nerves.
Right.
So I feel like nowadays we have to start doing that for ourselves as a community. You know what I mean? Definitely
Oh, yeah.
these young soldiers coming out. Like, I know it's gonna be a whole different military by the end of this, but like I truly feel like as a community of veterans, we have to watch out for ourselves.
Yep.
And it's hard because I feel like sometimes we're brushed away. Like, oh, they're veterans, they signed up for it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It comes with the job, but like it doesn't have to come with the job. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
So like, as is there anything you think that we could put forward, or like, I know, of course, like I said before, we could. I wish we could all, as a veteran community, make a sand map and try to work this out. Is there anything you see that could change, and that could be put into effect to help these soldiers coming in and coming out?
Yeah, no, that's a great question, and and I hate to reference official documents, so I did look through. I'll say the 2019 National Veteran Suicide Prevention Annual Report. It's kind of an interesting read, but a lot of numbers and statistics. But the thing I love the most is at like the very last page, and in fact I underlined it. It said, "We prevent suicide through meaningful connection, one person at a time." And that just resonated with me because exactly what you're saying, Shawnee. I mean, it's you can have these great programs, and the VA does have a whole bunch. And I'm not a VA rep by any means, but they have all sorts of great programs and things they're doing. But one sad thing that you read in the report too is that the majority of veteran suicides, the majority are folks who don't have a VA connection.
Exactly.
So it's not the folks with like service related who are regularly going to the VA. It's people who are sort of outliers. And so what we need to do as a veteran community is pull all our friends in, reach out and touch those folks. One thing I love, and I'm a member, several Facebook groups as you. So as a Desert Storm veteran, I'm a member of a Desert Storm Facebook group. And what I love is just some night it'll be like freaking 2 a.m. Someone will just post, "Hey, I'm really hurting. This is not good. I'm in trouble." And all of a sudden, freaking like 10 people will jump in.
Numbers
Here's my phone number. Call me right now, and I'm here, and I'll talk as long as you want.
Yeah.
And that's looking out for one another. These are strangers, and I think it helps more if you have someone you know.
No,
some of us
but still, just an ear to
right,
someone to listen.
Just a fellow vet who's going to say, I know where you've been, and I've been there too, and let's talk. Because that's what's going to make the difference. I mean, sometimes. It's really sad. There's nothing you can do, but a lot of times you can really change the tide. And I'll give you one example. This is a DUI example, but rather than a suicide episode. But I remember in my probably mid-career, we were really sort of frustrated once because our ops group commander, 06 level, said, "Hey, if anyone in the group gets a DUI, that's it. Your whole squadron's coming in on the weekend." So you're going to stand at attention and you're going to get lectured, for the DUI. So we were really tight about looking out for one another. We had
someone that would stay sober.
Yeah, we had designated drivers and all the rest. So in this one case, check this out. So we had our maintenance guys go out. They had a plan. They had designated drivers. They had a vehicle. Everything was golden. They went out. They drank. They had a great time. They came back, deposited one of our young airmen back in his, his dorm there. Basically tucked the dude in, like, "Hey, good night, pleasant dreams, sleep well," and they headed out. Well, about like an hour and a half later, the dude wakes up. "Oh man, I'm really hungry for some nachos. Shoot, I'm starving." So the dude gets in a car, drives out to like a 7-Eleven to get some chips or Doritos or something or other. And sure enough, he's kind of swerving across the lines a little bit. So he gets pulled over by the police. And so
was it military police or was it actual?
No, this was actually like civilian police because he's out there in the community. So it wasn't military police. But so he gets busted for a DUI, and of course we're all in there on the weekend, and we're all looking at each other like, "What more could we have done? What could we have done?"
You guys got him there. You put him in bed, tucked him in.
And in a more dark side, sometimes you have that with suicide too. I mean, you look out, you check in with your buddies, and they're smiling at you, saying, "This is great. I'm loving life. I've got a new lease on life. Stuff's going right." Then all of a sudden they're gone, and it's like you never saw it coming. So sometimes,
and sometimes, most times, like it was like me. Like I was always the guy smiling, joking around, laughing. So people would overlook that, but like the whole time, like I'm sitting there like contemplating suicide.
Right.
And like and that's tough, like because you don't know. You know what I mean? Like someone could be look at Robin Williams. I've brought this
Right.
up before. Someone's so happy that Shine was always joking. But yeah, he was the saddest person in the room, probably.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, look, Anthony Bourdain, who like traveled the world, had the sweetest job,
Yeah.
and you would never think this guy that was living like anyone's dream life,
Right.
traveling, you know, being happy, cooking, doing like
Yeah,
the
all
one
the
thing
money
he
you could
loved.
want, right?
And he still, you know, was sad and committed suicide.
Yeah.
So like, the thing is, I also believe like in the military, like it's a huge coping mechanism is the drinking and you know like the partying
Right.
on the weekends because we don't get that much time. So everyone goes out, parties. I know in Mississippi at Camp Shelby when I was over there, like that was the thing. We went to the All Ranks Club if we weren't allowed to go out in the town, or we'd be hitting the town. And like I just know like that I feel like even after everyone gets to go to like some people get to go to college and see these frat life and these parties, but I would tell you like I don't think it compares to the drinking in the military and the party in the military, man. Like these guys go hard. Like the IP casino, literally, we were on our 40-hour pass before we were deployed. Like they stopped letting soldiers go into the casino floors because that's how crazy it got. Like with the
Right.
partying and the drinking, the fights. You know what I mean? Like so, like I feel like when they get out, every veteran, or at least the young guys, think that's a coping mechanism.
Right.
They're not. Let's not deal with my bullshit. Like I'm gonna just drink it away. Let me not reach out to someone. And that's not a way to stop it. You know what I mean? It's not gonna help your depression. Like I've caught myself using it as like a coping mechanism for my anxiety. I'm like, oh, I'm having a panic attack. I'll just down a fifth of vodka, like Jameson.
Right.
And like then I would still sit there and be like, I'm still dealing with this.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's only masking the problem, if not making it worse. Because then you're gonna wake up hungover and still feel like
now your bank account's much lower too because you blew all your
exactly.
Yeah,
So like it's rough, man. Like I feel like we're never gonna have a perfect answer to fix these problems, but like I think we should the military or at least the veteran community has to start working. Like I get it, Mission 22, the 22 push-ups a day. I get that, but that's not helping anyone, man. Like I've said this. I follow the Marine Corps rapper, and he says he has been making videos like guys walking up with the push pops, and oh, do you feel better? Do you feel better doing push-ups? And it's like, man, like it doesn't. Like I get it, bring awareness. It's awesome, but I feel like call 22 of your battle buddies. Reach out to 22 even of your friends, man. Like, and just see if they're okay. Just check up. Like, just to hear a voice that says, hey, man, like, you doing okay? Even if they could be living the most amazing life. Just, you know, like, I feel like that is more productive than doing these push-ups, 22 a day, to bring awareness. You know what I mean? Like, it just bothers me that, like, that people think that's what's going to cure it. You know what I mean?
Well, I think there's a lot of desperation. I mean, everyone knows it's a sad, tragic issue, and people are scratching for some way to try to fix it. But I don't think there is an easy solution. I mean, you can read any of the reports out there, and the reasons for suicide are all over the map. It's not like one thing. It's not PTSD. It's not finances. I mean, these are all things that for some people that's a major player, but there's no one indicator that
that's like the main.
It's the main. It's a whole bunch of stuff that goes in there. And then for solutions, it's the same thing too. There's no one fix because everyone's an individual. I mean, me and you are very different. What may pull you off the windowsill is different than what may pull me off the windowsill. And again, to do that, and I'm a huge fan of counselors and social workers, and they can do some great stuff. But really, you need someone who knows you. And ultimately, the real truth is, it's up to us, right? Yes. The only one who can prevent Dave Lange from jumping off a bridge is Dave Lange. Yes. I mean, that's the end thing. So I mean, we all sort of have to try to build up resiliency where we can. And it's a fight. I mean, I think, and I've looked at it that way too. I mean, I've battled time, sometimes with depression. And I always look at it as a fight. I'm like, okay, I fought in the military, and I'm going to fight now. And because all the sweet talk and all the happy, joy, let's go watch the Teletubbies. I mean, that doesn't do it for me. I got to freaking say, okay, punch myself in the jaw. Say, okay,
continue mission.
Yeah, continue mission. Let's get on with this. And I get what you're saying, the alcohol, and that's totally true. I mean, that's sort of a culture thing in the military, going way back. And it's changed a lot over the years. I mean, way back, before either you or I were in the service, I'm now just everyone's drinking like crazy and staggering around base. I mean,
Yeah.
it's sort of the normal. And now over time, I mean, just in my time in the service, I've seen a huge shift of the culture in terms of, okay, yeah, now the alcohol not as glamorous as it was, and now we're really trying to stop it. We don't want to say no because people still do it, but I think we all have to sort of put some control in there too. I mean,
there has
because
to
if
be.
there isn't, I mean, and that's a huge problem, right? And that,
Yeah.
in fact, oftentimes people pulling the trigger after they had a whole bunch of beers.
Yeah.
You know, not many people are doing it completely sober and drug free. Yeah, so I mean, I think it's a crutch and it's not a good crutch. And you know, and I never told any of my troops, hey, don't drink.
Right.
You know,
Because you can't.
because you can't. They're going to go do it,
adults.
right? But you know, you need to, I think, stress moderation because, you know, again, it's just something that may get you through a night, or you may think it will, but a lot of times it makes things worse. You know,
yes,
and like
it definitely does.
Your finances start going down the tubes, and you start getting almost dependent, where you can't get the same buzz off of 3 beers anymore, and now you're drinking, you know, 3/4 of a bottle of tequila. And before you know it, you're full on alcoholic, and that carries with you when you leave.
Exactly, and that's the thing is, like, don't get me wrong, some of the best memories I've had of my life was in the military, and some of them were the partying scenes. Like,
yeah,
I see my buddy.
Yeah, it doesn't make him a bad person
right now.
Yep.
Coop. I met him through the Navy, through my buddy Juan, and like he was always a squared away Navy guy. Like he didn't really party or drink. Very knowledgeable dude. I hope to actually get him on the podcast one day.
Yeah.
But like he would see me drinking with these Navy guys, because then it's like, you know, the Navy guys are allowed to drink,
Right.
and the Army guys aren't allowed to drink in uniform. And I've been trying to keep up with these guys, and like these guys are just freaking beasts. And next thing I know, like I'm passed out on the floor in the bathroom. Like, look, you know what I mean? Like, and then, like it was fun that night, and it was awesome. Like everyone, I was the life of the party. But then it was just like I'm still like waking up now. I feel like crap, even though everyone's like, "Oh, you were crazy last night." Well, I'm like, I've embarrassed the shit of myself.
You got some peer pressure too, right?
Yeah,
I mean, that's there. I mean, and even it happens at the highest levels.
Funny
story. I mean, when I was in Korea, we do these major exercises, and at the end of the exercises in Korea, they'd always have a big victory party to say, "Yeah, we kicked North Korea's ass," you know. And so basically, all the freaking Korean generals are like drinking our American generals under the table, and they're breaking out the soju and they're doing soju shots out there, and you know, our generals felt, well, I better be drinking with it because I have my counterpart here, my Korean counterpart, 3-star general, he's drinking, so I better be drinking too. And next thing you know, our poor generals are like having the headache like they've never had before because they're trying. It's a social thing. Even at that level, you got the peer pressure. Now, of course, you bring that all the way down. Same thing. You know, you got your buddies out there drinking and stuff, and it's tough to say no. I mean, and
definitely with the young guys, the privates, and they see like the NCO or the specials, but come out and drink with us, buddy. Like,
oh yeah,
John. Like, even if those kids never were drinkers, like, they're gonna want to follow lead. They want to think, oh, that's kind of like smoking. That's what I have to do. Yeah.
It's like, I mean, most folks, I know a lot of folks never smoked in a day in their life, but then they came out and saw these old crusty sergeants out there. They're smoking.
The pastime, you know.
And they're like, well, hey, I have a
smoke if you got it,
kid. Oh, you got it. You know, got it, Master Sergeant.
I've actually met dudes that like when like they would like let us have a break. Smoke if you got them. Yeah. Like guys that would never smoke would be like, oh, just because they wanted to like be in the circle.
Yeah.
Like, oh, can I bum a cigarette? And it's like, dude, like you never smoked before in your life. And now you're smoking just to be in the it crowd.
You know what I mean? Fit in.
Yeah, they want to fit in. Yeah. And definitely these young privates are like, they don't know, like they haven't, found their niche yet.
Right.
And they see these guys like, oh, that's what like the cool specialists or the cool guys. Like I need to get in with that group. And that's like, they follow the lead, you know what I mean? And it sucks because like a lot of people don't understand is like I talked to one of my buddies and we were talking about how like I never saw him as someone he was what I imagine to this day as like a poster child of what you would see as an infantryman.
Right.
And then he told me, he's like, every day I was struggling, man. Like I was beating myself up. I was depressed. I wasn't me. Like even though I put on this tough guy face, and I would fucking continue mission, I was broken inside. Yeah. And then we both talked, and I was saying to him, I was like, dude, like it's even to this day, I've seen my growth from my depression and me becoming better, and with dealing with my anxiety and stuff like that. But at the same point, like I still have bad days. I still have days I just want to lay in my bed all day and not talk to the world. Yeah. But like I am blessed to have the people that I have in my life, and that are still in my life, still trying to make sure I have a lifeline. You know what I mean? Like,
Oh yeah.
and a lot of some guys aren't that blessed, man. Like some guys are going through divorces when they get out of the military. They're you know, financially not where they thought they were gonna be.
Right.
You know, like they're not getting the benefits that they should get because they only got 10% rating, or they believe their pride they couldn't, you know, reach out to get those benefits that they deserve.
Right.
And now they're working a 9 to 5. It's not making a lot of money, and it's, you know what I mean. Like so, like there's a lot of guys that don't have that. Sometimes don't have that, are not as blessed as me to have people I reach out to. I had people to reach out to, and I still was
Yeah. So
three
tough.
times so close to taking my life, and I would. This is why I want to do this, is because I want to show these people like you're not alone, man. Like even though you think you're alone, like I don't even have to know you. You can reach out to like me or you, like, and it just breaks my heart to know that like there's someone out there, definitely a veteran, a young old veteran, that think like I have no one. Like this is the bottom line. My best years are behind me. You know what I mean? Because like that was my big thing when I got out. Actually went back into the 854th Combat Engineer Unit. I'm an inactive reserve at a unit in Saugerties, New York, because I was like, I'm working at Dunkin' Donuts. The only reason why I got this job is I was good friends with the manager. And like I always thought, like when I was in the infantry, after you do a deployment, the world's gonna be handed to you on a silver platter because it's the army. You know what I mean? Everyone's gonna hire you when they hire
Yeah.
you.
That's the
And then,
story they tell you, right?
yeah, and then the band-aid was ripped off, and I realized like that is not true. Like no one wants to hire a kid that only knows to just kick down doors and, you know,
Yeah.
shoot guns and be a cowboy. And then I'm sitting there like struggling with like what the like where am I supposed to be? Like I had at this point, like I really didn't know any like skills, you know what I mean, besides what the military taught me. And so it was a struggle in mine. I'm like, yo, I was just to be like this golden child, like, you know what I mean? Like I'm an infantryman, like
Yeah.
I was just be able to get jobs. Again, there's these restaurants and stuff that say they support the troops, but like they won't hire me because they would have to retrain me to be a busboy, to be a waiter, when they could just hire a guy that already has, you know, the skill
Yeah.
set.
Yeah.
So then I'm sitting there struggling, like beating myself up, like wow, I'm working at Dunkin' Donuts, a fast food restaurant, which like in my mind was even more like, even though it's not an embarrassing thing, but for me at the time I was like, dude, like this is so embarrassing, like,
Right.
you know what I mean? Like I wore the uniform, like, and now I'm working at a fast food restaurant, like I'm exactly where everyone thought I was gonna be before the military if I didn't go in the military. So like
Yeah.
that was such a complex in my mind that like I was like, I'm a fucking loser. You know what I mean? Like and that those years were so like struggling for me. So then like a career, they call them career counselors,
Yeah.
or these recruiters that come and they're like, hey, your contract's not almost up, but you got inactive reserve. Do you want to, you know, sign up and finish them off? And I was like, the guy sitting there, and I'm like, sure, like whatever. I'll do it. I'll sign up. Just make it close to the infantry. So they sent me to the combat unit.
Yeah.
And when I got to the unit, I met some amazing guys, prior service guys.
Right.
It was awesome. But the unit itself, I don't mean to badmouth the unit, but like it wasn't all together. They had new command, but they were getting ready for the deployment. So I was like, oh, maybe I'll jump out on a deployment. And the deployment was to like a very safe area and stuff, and it wasn't doing what I was aiming for and wanting to do.
Right.
So I was like, oh, maybe I'll just stay on rear deck. Like, I'll let these young cats go and get their stripes. And I sit back, but like at the same time, like I'd be talking to these prior service guys that were like, they were active duty at one point, and they were struggling. They were going through the same thing. Like they would come back and there wouldn't be work, or it wasn't what they thought they were gonna go into. You know what I mean? Like it's a struggle, like because a lot of guys can't go back and go to school. They have the anxiety, they have the stress, so it's like they're just thrown to the wolves sometimes. I feel like there should be. I know we have what is it they call the yellow ribbon events and stuff like that. I feel like there's got to be more, like to reach out and like help these guys go into workforces. I know there's groups like Helmet to Hard Hats and stuff, but like even those slots are like they're hard to get into. You know what I mean?
Yeah, the military, I mean, they've been trying hard over the years to improve their, in the Air Force, we call it Transition Assistance Program. There's a similar name in the Army to help people with their reintegration, I guess, back in the civilian world after they get out. And I mean, some of that's good because it is tough translating the skills you have, whether it's an infantryman or, whatever, or even a navigator who needs navigators these days, right? Translating those into something you can use in the civilian world. So those programs kind of help. But then even once we get out, I think we still need, sort of friends to help us out there. Because you're right, and I hate to be cynical, but a lot of the people, oh, we're veteran friendly. It's like, no, you're a hospital. You're veteran friendly because you want to hire some Army guy who worked in the hospital in the Army and have them do the same job they're doing there and pay them, half what you're probably going to pay someone else.
But they would have to go to school first,
right?
And get that RN.
Yeah,
and get that thing without, even though your taxpayers' money paid for you.
So there's some of that, if you're doing one job in the military and it's exactly the same as a job in the civilian world, it's easier to get in there. But if it's not, it's trickier and it's tough. You're right, and it is sort of it's tough because you do big stuff in the military. I mean, you're it's life death. And you're liberating towns. You're saving
winning
hearts
and minds.
Hearts and minds, and doing some pretty important stuff for national defense. And now to come back and get put in something that's and again, not to denigrate anyone for making donuts, because that's a necessary.
We're just using that because
just as an example. But you're right. I mean, it's like, whoa, okay, here I am. I mean, I have the same thing too. I'm like, wow, I was doing some pretty big stuff in the military. Now I'm here, and it's like, you want me to be a traveling salesman? It's like, it's tough. It's a bitter pill to swallow. So yeah, it's challenging, and that's why I think there are some organizations that legitimately, no kidding, try to help vets and looking out for you. And there's others that just say that as a public relations thing. We're veteran friendly, but what they actually do for the veterans is questionable. So.
Yes, and that's also like, I feel like, to get a little off topic, a lot of these restaurants and stuff don't realize, like, you're hiring a veteran, I'm pretty sure it's like a tax write-off for a veteran. Like, you can actually get a tax write-off for hiring a vet. Yeah. So I don't even think some of these business owners are ever actually educated of like what they could be benefiting from hiring a veteran and maybe taking that time out to train that veteran.
Right.
But so, like, I think it's a whole process that needs to be more educated on.
Right.
But like at the time, like, I feel like it's a struggle. Like, a lot of these guys get out, they try to get back, then they go use their GI Bill, and then they go to use their GI Bill and they can't deal with the stress of, they haven't been in school in a while.
It's tough.
Done anxiety. Now they're around guys and not the sound bias stuff. These guys are now, yes, they may be 21 or 22 years old, but they're adults.
Very
compared
different
life experiences than the kid next to them who's the same age, who's going to the Columbia Green Community College or any, you know what I mean? Like, and now to this 22-year-old that served his country, he's looking at this dude like, this is a fucking child. Like, why is he acting like this? And it's a huge mind altering thing, like, because I've done that when I was like, what the heck? Like, these kids are acting like childs, like, still acting like they're in high school, throwing paper, messing with the teacher and stuff. And I'm sitting there like, well, my guys want to yell at you, like, and scream at you, but I can't because it's not my job. Right. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I can't scream at you because we're equals right now. Like, even though we're like, in my head, like,
see, the real good employers, and a lot of employers are not real good, but the real good ones they'll appreciate that. Like, I was talking to once an owner of a car dealership, and he was telling me how much he loved hiring veterans. He said, I'll hire them because, every other person I hired, next thing you know, I'm kicking them out because they're using drugs or they're messing around. Or this, I said, my military folks always show up on time. They're always working hard. They're always, all about getting it done. And they're clean and they're not messing around. Now, a few military folks have issues, with substance abuse. But I tell you what, compared to the general population in that age group and demographic, I mean, you get some pretty sharp dudes. I mean, that could be
and the work ethic, man. The guys who can work 24 hours a day.
Work ethic's incredible. Oh yeah, you're diving in there, and that becomes your mission. And you look at it sort of like you're in the service. Although here's my new mission. So I mean, he was telling me that I love the veterans. So there's some employers who recognize that. And they'll go out and they'll actively, seek veterans, and God bless them because that, helps us all out. But others just don't understand.
It was funny. I worked at a farm because I wanted to get into agriculture, and this is gonna be a funny story. And I worked for this guy. He's a British guy, and like he had this warped mind on, I guess, veterans and what they do, and he would want me to salt the hides because I was a veteran. I must have smelt dead animals and dead bodies, and I was just like, "That's like what you want me to do because that's what you think." That like I must know what dead people smell like, and I could deal with that. And I just thought it was funny, like the ignorance of that, like what? And then he would have conversations with me like about like, oh, yeah, you're gonna be cool with killing that animal, like blah, blah. Like, it's like, what if I wasn't cool with killing that animal? You know what I mean? Like, just because you think this is what the veteran's mindset is
There's a stereotype. Yeah, I mean, and I'll use two quick examples. There's one job I applied for with a company that involves a lot of warehouses and stuff, and they're interviewing me and they're all excited about me and everything. And then I realized, okay, you really want me to be acting like a drill sergeant. You know, I'm like, okay, that's not really what I did in the service. But the idea is I'm going to be yelling and screaming at people who aren't moving fast enough on some assembly line. You know, like that's not me. That's not who I am. Yeah. You know, and not everyone in the military is the drill sergeant. You know, you got a whole bunch of different folks. And then there's another job I applied for. I actually got an offer. I turned it down, but it was a very high level executive position. And the interesting thing was, I was talking to an HR guy who I sort of gained the trust with, you know, later on in the process. And he said, yeah, they were really worried about you and the fact that you were military. Like, hold on here. I'm applying for a job that's like right up my alley, specialty wise. A lot of, you know, aviation and working, you know, big aviation programs and airports and things like that. And these guys were concerned that I might not be a good hire because I was military. You know, I'm like,
what, you're overqualified?
Yeah. So, you know, you just don't get it. But some people have biases. Some people think, and they warn us in the transition program. They warn us, hey, yeah, you say military, and they're going to think you're PTSD, and they're going to think you're this or that, and you're going to, you're going to bug out. You're going to bug out and
flip out.
You know, and we do have people with issues, but in the general population, there's a lot of people with issues too. You know, and so it's kind of unfair, but it's a stereotype that I think. And one problem is, and back like World War II, everyone knew someone in the military. Everyone, their brother went.
Kids were lying about their age.
So when you came back, the general population understood, you know, the military. In fact, when you went to work for like a World War II vet, you know, if you're coming back from, say, Vietnam or Korea or something like that, they got it because they were there and they understood and they welcomed you in. But these days, such a small portion of people have any military service at all that there's not an understanding anymore.
There's not, because I remember seeing a post that someone talk about that to help lower the homeless veteran societies and put like a veteran in front of a school. I believe I brought this up before, or one of us were talking about it, and I watched this guy say, why? So he bugs out and shoots up the school himself? I'm like, why? Because the veteran has PTSD? First off, it's proven that a veteran PTSD is probably going to harm himself over harming anyone else. He's not looking to go out and shoot little kids at a school if he was staying outside to protect. If anything, that would give that soldier purpose. And that's crazy. And there's just people that think that, like, you know what I mean? Like, I get it, but I don't get it back in the Vietnam War, how these people, like, literally spit on our soldiers come back home.
Oh, yeah.
And those guys were drafted. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, some of those guys didn't want to go to war. They were drafted. They didn't have certain people's money to go dodge or go hide and stuff. You know what I mean? Like, so, like, and those guys were, like, came back home and they were spit on, like, gee, like, trash. Yeah. And that breaks my heart. Like, I see this in our society today as a country that, like, they're used to kids in World War II. They lied about their age to join the country. There was pride in this country. And don't get me wrong, I believe everyone should have the right to make their decisions in this free country. But at the same point, I do believe that things would be a little different if you had to do a mandatory service for this country. Yes, that's me being biased. I think it would strengthen us as a country ourselves, and I think there would be more perspective. There would be more push to help veterans and to help get these veterans the help they need. Because I'm tired, like me and Jeff talked about, I'm tired of reading articles of veterans killing themselves at the VA, or in the parking lot, or in the thing. Like it's not right. Like obviously there's a disconnect that needs to be figured out, and it sucks to say. Like I've watched a lot of these debates. No one's brought it up. Like no candidate, and I believe the last 2 elections have once brought up how to help the veterans, how to stop this 22-day statistic, because it's horrible, man. That's heart-wrenching to know that there's 22 veterans a day that's committing suicide. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I know it means more to us because that's our community, those are our brothers and sisters. But that's crazy, man.
Yeah.
That's heartbreaking. And yes, we still got a lot of good people that are looking out, that are civilians that didn't serve, that look out for some of us.
Yeah.
But at the same point, there is not enough of these politicians and these higher ups that they can get things done and they can help veterans out who've served and paid their ultimate sacrifice, and some who are coming back with missing limbs, amputees, and there's got to be something. These officials, and I know we vote them in, but even when we vote them in, they'll promise us something and they don't do it, and it breaks my heart that the veteran community gets always pushed to the waistline. They'll figure it out. You know what I mean? And it's heartbreaking as someone as a young vet that didn't do as much as some of these guys in special forces, rangers, and stuff like that. You know what I mean? And they've seen multiple tours, 7.
Oh yeah.
You know, they're not getting the help. You know what I mean, that they deserve. And but I am glad that the light of the tunnel is there is veterans like me and you that notice this, and we're trying to push to better it and at least give people purpose.
Yeah.
You know, at least let a veteran know, like, hey, you're not alone in this. We got you. We got your 6, man. Like, and that's what it's all about. But at the same point, it breaks my heart, man. Like this, it's a weird feeling to know that, like, because I've been there. I've written my suicide note 3 times. I still have in my other journal downstairs multiple of my quotes I've used multiple times in the suicide notes. That, like, if it wasn't for me being me and me having the community, the being blessed with the people I had in my life, that I would have been a part of that statistic. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then honestly, no one would have cared. They'd be like, oh well, he was a veteran. You know what I mean? Yeah. Besides veterans understanding the struggle of dealing with the anxiety, the depression, and the mental health issues. Right. And it goes even for a civilian. Like there's not enough resources. I feel like there's not enough social workers. There's not enough people to stop this stigmatism. Right. You know what I mean? Like, and it's I don't know if I use that word right, but it's just heartbreaking to me, man. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, and it and the tough thing is too. I mean, and you know, I mean, we all kind of relapse into it as well. You know, it's like the general formula is, oh yeah, we'll go and we'll see you. Now you're fixed. Okay, good. Out the door next. But the reality is, a lot of that's temporary. One thing that really stuck with me, one base I was at, is they had a traveling tour of wounded veterans, and their job was to come and to try to motivate troops and talk about tough issues. And I thought that was a great idea. So they came to my unit. And these guys were talking, and most of them, lost limbs or, arms and legs and things like that. And they had a very positive message, a very, go seize the day and, enjoy life kind of message. And I went up to a few of them afterwards, and I said, okay, what's the real scoop? I get this. I get that you're going around, how are you today? How are you doing? And they were very, honest, and and that's one thing we, trust vets to be honest with one another, and a few of them said, you know what? There have been multiple times that even still I consider, killing myself. Yeah. And these are guys who are on a, go save your life. Everything's good. I got no limbs and I'm okay, so you can be too. I mean, that was their job, to pump people up and inspire people, and they're doing a great job. But the thing was, they realized, and I realized too, okay, you're never out of the woods. No. These folks, they all came from great adversity, have done some great stuff, and now they're spreading a positive message. But
they're still having bad days.
They're struggling. Still gonna have bad days. Exactly. And I think that's one thing too. You need to have the buddies who know you. And that's the toughest thing, is people who don't have those connections. Like I say, it's a blessing that you've had great people in your life, and I'm so glad of that. And I've had a few people too that helped me out through tough times. But the people who don't have anyone, it's
and
tough.
They're the ones that have people that feel they don't have anyone.
Yeah. Oh, it is. I mean,
there's a void that, like, sometimes, because I've felt, I've had people that, like, multiple friends. I was a very popular person, but like. I felt lonely as shit.
There's some folks, a lot of folks who are married, who said the loneliest time in my life was when I was married.
Yeah.
And, I felt that sometimes during my marriage. I'm not married now, but there's a while where I'm like, Yeah, I'm married, but I don't feel like it.
Oh,
I don't,
yeah.
you know, I don't feel like there's someone there for me.
Yeah.
And there's, so yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, you can have people in your life, but still feel very alone and very isolated. You know, so again, it sort of takes a special connection. I guess we all hope and pray that, you know, we got one or two people who have that connection. But it's so rare. It's rare to
Yeah,
get that connection where
it's very
someone can
rare.
read you, can look in
Yeah.
your eyes and know, okay, you're shitting me. You know, what's the real deal?
And that was the thing. Like I brought this person up a lot. The person that's in my life in Tennessee, like it was weird. Like our connection is in our friendship. Like she would instantly know like something was up, and she'd hit me up because I'm not an emotional person. Like I'm very like I guess numb to things. Like I you know like I don't break down and cry. You know what I mean? Like I just bottle that shit up. Like and it kills me. But like it's. And she would always say, she's like, oh, one day I want to see you cry. Like, I want to just see you let it all out. I'm like, no, you know, I'm going to see that. It's just not who I am. And like, but like, I was the weirdo because I don't like the emotions. So like, whenever anyone breaks down in front of me, like, I'll give them the hug and stuff. But like, it's like, oh, now I feel awkward, like because like I'm not good with emotions.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh fuck, like I don't know how I can help this person, like because like I don't know how to help myself. You know what I mean? Like in these situations. And so like that's why I love that I've seen this growth in me that I'm able to be like, hey, like I can try to my best. I may not be the most emotional person, you know. I might not cry with you, but I'll be there to listen to you and like and be there to help as much as possible. Like I watched this guy talk. He was a vet and he was talking about. He's like, I almost killed myself multiple times, but then I realized that if I killed myself, I did the enemy's job for them.
Yep.
You know what I mean? I came back home. Yeah. The battle was won, and I killed myself, and I gave the enemies a win. Right. You know what I mean? I killed myself after the fact. And to hear that, I was like, God, that's so true. Like that's so true. Why would you let the enemy win after you got home? You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I think a good way to look at it, and the way I look at it sometimes is, you know, you look at yourself as a tool for good, you know, and you know, you got one shot left in the chamber and you're it. You know, what are you going to use it on?
Yeah.
You know, you're going to save someone's life or you're going to take your own, you know? And I figure if I had nothing left, shit, I ought to be running in every burning building I see and try to pull out dogs and cats and little babies and stuff. And if I get torched and go down, well, you know, at least I'm trying to, you know, do good. And so hopefully, you know, we all do things smartly and we don't have that urge to do crazy dangerous things. But, you know, I think a lot of veterans are like that. I mean, and sadly some are not, but it's like, why take your own life? That your life is something, if you don't want it, then
there's a battle buddy that you lost over there that paid the ultimate sacrifice. That would love to that have you, you know, to have that chance.
Yeah, I mean, the way you said is perfectly. You're doing the enemy job for them. They beat you in the end.
Yeah.
And that's not where we want to be.
No, that's not like, and that's the thing is like that's not where anyone in this beautiful country should want any of these vets that signed that dotted line, left their families, and to go fight a war. And then this is the thing is like that bothers me is like, listen, no one in the military that's ever signed up in the military was like, you know what, I'm signing up to fight for the government. No, man, everyone's signing up to fight for their family, to fight for the American people, to fight for their stars and bars. And that's why, like, I had a conversation with a friend's little brother about the American flag. He was like, oh, in these times of struggles, like, I don't know if I understand the American flag, you know, with everything's going on in the world right now. And I told him, I was like, I looked in my eyes, I'm like, hey, I'm not going to push the American flag on anyone. But let me just tell you why I feel about the American flag. The American flag is before the government, and it means the world. That American flag, that stars and bars, don't mean shit for the government besides that it's flown for this country. You know what I mean? It's not like the American flag stands for the United States government. It stands for the people, and the people in this country. And that flag gets put above on people, my battle buddies, our battle buddies, and our service members, vets' caskets. Right. This is going to get folded up and given to the loved ones. Yeah. And that flag means more to me than a lot of things in this life. And when I was telling him that, he was like, you know what? Because I was going to give him an American flag. I think it was the Betsy Ross, the 13 Colonies flag. And like, as I was like, oh, dude, like I didn't mean like, I know you're a young kid, you know, you're educating yourself in your own beliefs. But like, I'm sorry, bro, like I didn't mean to cross the line. And I went and grabbed the flag, and he's like, no, man, like Like you open my like I see it from your perspective now.
Right.
And it was just that little fucking talk of being like, yo, to me that flag does not stand for the government. Like it doesn't
No.
stand for any of the corrupt system or whatever's going on in this world. That flag stands
Yeah.
for a lot more. It stands for the American people to be able to show up and be able to fight tyranny, foreign and domestic. You know what I mean? Like
Yep.
it shows that there's people that clinch that flag and would die for that flag every single day. You know what I mean? Like me and you. Like I don't care. Any day of the week, I would lay my life down for that flag
Right.
and for the American people in this country.
Yeah.
Hey, like if it got that bad and I could go back in, I was healthy enough. You know what I mean? Like if my country needed me, my countrymen needed me, I'd be there in a second.
Yeah.
To rock out. And I think that's the one thing I love about being a veteran and being a part of a veteran community is like General Mattis said, we are not a broken community at all. We may be a little bent and a little worn, and there might be tinks in our armor, but like we are the strongest community of the United States of America.
Yeah.
And it's true. Like, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, we are going through struggles right now with 22 a day, but if there's any group of Americans that can figure it out and try to fix it, it's us.
I think a lot of us just want purpose. I mean, like you said, when you're in, you've got, you got the flag, and we all take our oath to the support and defend the Constitution. So we're not about defending any political party or anything else. It's about America, and it's about the people. And we're there, for the for the people. But yeah, I think when you get out, you lose. Some of us lose, a sense of purpose or a cause.
Exactly.
And it's amazing. I've seen some vets here. I mean, so down and low, but as soon as there's a cause that they can buy into, all of a sudden they just light up like that. And all of a sudden it's like they just lost 17 years and they're, they're 18 years old again, and they're all charged and all out there. And they'll, whether it's, toys, toys for tots or what have you, whatever, if there's a cause and it's a good cause, all of a sudden they light up on that mission and it's like they never left and they're off to the races. I think the toughest thing for us is when we feel like we don't have something.
That you're just getting complacent.
We're just complacent. All I'm doing is watching TV and eating chips, and now I'm gaining weight, and I'm not exercising. And now
I'm in this depressive state.
Yeah, and you sort of get in that downward spiral. It's tough to get out of that.
It's a vicious cycle of it, and that's the thing. And I'm glad we are on the same wavelengths on this, and it just I feel that sooner or later, like I truly have faith in the veteran community that we're gonna figure this out. We're gonna be able to adapt and overcome because it's what we do best. It's what we were trained to do. And I watched this guy, the same guy that brought up the the not letting the enemy win. He brought up it's in our job. What do you do when you pick up the phone and you call someone and you want to airstrike? They say no, and then you keep going down the line, the chain of command. You keep going, and that's what veterans should do. If one person doesn't fucking answer and you're about to hurt yourself, call the next person. Keep calling. Someone's gonna pick up that phone and they're gonna answer. Yep. That's what veterans need to understand, man. Like that, there is always someone's gonna have your six sooner or later. You know what I mean? Like someone's gonna pick up that phone and be the voice you need. Yeah. So, like. I mean it. Like I tell people all the time, like don't give up. Like I've been there. I've wanted to give up. Thank God I haven't. Thank God I was blessed to have people come in that were either God given on those days to come in and save my life by just smiling or just being there when I needed them. Right. You know what I mean? And sometimes like my buddy Tyler was on, like I didn't even know him from Adam, man. Like, and I met this guy and we ended up becoming best friends, and if he wasn't put in my path at that time, I would have been a statistic. Yeah. You know what I mean? Just like Courtney down in Tennessee, like if she didn't come over that day on 4th of July, I would have been part of that statistic. You know what I mean? Right. And like she's my best friend. Like when we didn't have plans at all to chill that day, she just hit me up. She's like, "We're gonna hang out on 4th of July, right?" And I was like, "Oh shit!" Like. Yeah, like I guess like she forced it upon us, and it was just weird. Like we always hung out, but like at that time we weren't like hanging out all the time anymore. So to have that phone call, random phone call to pick up, and her be like, "We're gonna hang out today, right? It's 4th of July, right? It's your favorite holiday." And we like, "Oh shit!" Like I guess so. Yeah. Yeah, of course I'll hang out. And like her giving me that purpose of that day, like to be like. it's gonna be okay. Like, you know what I mean? I have someone that gives a fuck about me. Yeah. So like, with that being said, like there's not gonna every day is not gonna be a good day. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna wake up. No one's gonna wake up and be like, oh, best day every 365, 24/7, and it's true. Like I've had every other day I'm having a shit. Like, you know, I wake up and like, oh, fuck, why am I still here? But then I'm blessed to have to be breathing this air, and you know what I mean. Like, and I'm blessed to have another day because there's a lot of people that don't. You know what I mean? That a lot of people that lose the battle to what I'm trying and what we're trying to stop now as veterans, and I believe that like I truly have faith that in our community we're gonna do this. We're gonna figure out it's gonna be a long battle. It's just another endless war that we're gonna have to keep fighting, and we have to keep adapting to. But we're gonna figure it the fuck out. Like we have to. We're the best of the best of the United States of America, man. Like we are brilliant. We have the smartest minds sitting in this community of veterans, and we can figure it out. And I believe the first part of it is just picking up the phone and calling a buddy, man. And like it sounds easy, and I know everyone gets caught up in their own life, dude. Like I get it, everyone has their own life, but like it's what picking up and just saying hi.
Yeah, that's all it takes sometimes.
That's all it takes, man. Even in the civilian life, like guys, listen, dude. Like it's not that hard to smile or tell someone you love them, man. Like that shit's free. Like literally, like pick up, just wave to someone, tell them have a nice day, just smile at someone. Like that could change someone's fucking life. Like you don't know, it's the little things in life that are so cherished, and people just brush that shit by, man. And they literally just brush that shit by, and it's horrible. So again, because we're almost running up to time, David, thank you, man. I'm gonna definitely have you on again.
Yeah, it's been awesome, Shawn. Appreciate it.
And I know I talk a lot and stuff, but
you're
like
rocking it. Yep.
You
got a great heart.
I want you to know I'm glad to have you a part of this mission, and like I'm glad to welcome you to the Majestic AF family and the freaking movement. And with that being said, I'm gonna talk about my man has an amazing book. Like I said, he took time out of his book tour to be here with us today and join the Majestic AF family. I'm not going to be able to pronounce that word, so shoot your shot and plug your amazing book for us.
Yeah, I hate to pitch a book, but it's actually relevant to the topic. I wrote my memoir, finished up in August. It's called Quest, My Journey Through La Mancha. And really, it's actually kind of appropriate for this because it's about a time in my life when I didn't want to live any longer. And it was the most sad, depressed time, and I was a teenager, so it wasn't my time in service. But I went on a trip with my family, and I just happened to bump into somebody who just like this amazing person. I didn't know at the time she's actually a First Nations, like Native American princess. I had no idea at the time. But she just was kind to me. That's all it was. She was 10 years older than me. I was just a teenager. I was like 15. So, it wasn't like I was going to be dating her or anything. But she was just really, really nice and really amazing. And just it really inspired me. I came home and all of a sudden I'm like, okay, I was never good about fixing my life for me. But I said, I'm going to fix everything that's busted with me and I'm going to do it for her. So I started one thing after another, changing all the stuff that was just screwed up in my life. And part of it was creating a diary. And there's all sorts of other things that I did to sort of fix my life. And then I said, you know what? I just want to, someday I got to find, all I knew was she's from Canada and I knew her name. I said, one day I want to find her and just thank her for basically saving my life, which she did. And so that's why it's called Quest, My Journey Through La Mancha. And La Mancha, if you know about Don Quixote and his Dulcinea, it's sort of like, he's this real quick background. It's written in the 1600s by Miguel de Cervantes. It's this one guy who's like this old guy. Sad, actually, he's not older than I am now, but he's like just so sad with everything going on in the world. He retreats to all these books on knighthood and chivalry, and he reads them and reads them and reads them until finally he just goes insane. He bakes his brain out, and so he thinks he's like this knight when they don't even exist anymore. So he goes out on these adventures, and he dedicates everything he does to his lady Dulcinea, who in his mind is just like this princess that he's going to wants to dedicate all his deeds to. So really, it was sort of appropriate for me, almost my own life tracked in a similar way, where I just was in a horrible dark spot, and all of a sudden I said, you know what? I'm going to start living not life as it people are telling me it has to be, but I'm going to start living life as it should be. And so I really went to start going on all these adventures, and I was trying to find her. So the story is kind of tracks along about these crazy adventures, and some things are really almost like paranormal, like miraculous, that really came along to
Like
inspire
a
me.
divine
Divine
intervention.
stuff. I mean, just crazy stuff that happened. I mean, just really wild stuff. I mean, it's inexplainable.
I can't wait to get into it.
So it's kind of a cool story. But anyway, so my story to go find her and try to thank her, and some of the silly adventures that happened along the way. So that's what it's about. But it's about hope. It's about hope. It's about coming from a dark place, finding hope and inspiration. And so I hope that anyone who does want to read it, I hope that you enjoy it and maybe find some inspiration.
Go pick up this book. I'm going to jump right into it starting tonight. It's just who I am. With that, I'm going to do my outro because it's about that time. Actually, it's past that time a little bit. But here. So listen, I know I got some bad feedback from last week's episode. Just trust me, if I'm ever letting you guys down, I'm always going to be the first in that line. So that being said, listen, I haven't given up. I haven't hurt myself and become a part of the statistics. So I'm telling you guys right now, I'm part of the Majestic AF family. You guys can't do it. Listen, we're in this together. This is more than a podcast. This is a freaking movement. We are staying strong. We are going to hold each other up. We're going to have each other 24/7. If you guys need anything, I've posted my number 1,000 times. PM me. Reach out to me. I'll hook you up with whoever you need to talk to. If you're a higher up, I'll send you to David Lange. If you don't want to talk to an enlisted guy, but we're all brothers in this. And this goes for even civilian guys. Dude, I don't care. You don't have to serve. If you're going through a dark time, trust me. There's a light at the end of that tunnel. We can get through this together. Man, you're not alone. I say this every time. Darkest nights bring the brightest stars. And if your sky is black still, I'll be your brightest star. Just hit me up. So I'll leave you with one of these. Thank you guys for chiming in. God bless. Merch will be out soon. If you guys want some hoodies, some of the merch coming out, you guys got to send me sizes, pre-order, because we're going to do it basically to order. So God bless you guys. Have a great night. Thank you again. Colonel David Lange, be on my podcast and becoming part of the Majestic AF family. And thank you guys all. And have a great night.